All right, good evening, everyone. I'll call the supplemental budget hearing to order, and if you'll stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, looks like we have no public comments. So, Randy, do you have anything you want to add, or do you want to wait until your report?
You're in the supplement? No, I have nothing to add to the supplemental budget hearing.
Right. So I'll adjourn the supplemental budget hearing. Now I'll call the regular meeting to order. First up, we have the election of the board chair and vice chair, ORS 332.0052 and 332.0404. Director Richardson.
Chair, I wish to nominate Dave Jones for chair of the board.
Any other discussion?
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion by Director Richardson, seconded by Director Ott. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. And abstain, aye. All right, so thank you guys. Next up we have vice chair position.
I move to re-elect Dr. Judy Richardson for vice chair.
I accept nomination.
You second? Okay. Motion by Director Wynn-Elledge, seconded by Director Nelson. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Any abstain? All right, congratulations, Director Richardson. Okay, next up we have the review and revision of the agenda. And I want to suggest we move discussion item, action item 15, the board direction on complaint, and also policy KLGBM-AR, table those till August until we hear back from ODE. We have a consensus on that? Okay, so we'll move those to that. Anyone else have anything? Okay. With nothing else, we'll move on to the mission, vision, and value statement. Director Vaught, you want to read those?
Absolutely. North Wasco County School District 21 mission statement: educating each student to the highest standards while motivating them to reach their fullest potential and graduating them to be college, career, and life ready. Our vision statement: our schools are a place where children belong. Each student is known by name, strength, and need, and provided the education and opportunities to achieve success. Our values: striving for equity, inclusion, and belonging, celebrating diversity, engaging the community, supporting the whole child, promoting and achieving academic excellence.
Thank you, Director Vaught. Next, we have the consent agenda, which covers the July board organizational chart, school board meeting minutes from June 20th, and personnel report.
I move to approve the consent agenda as it's presented.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Director Nelson, seconded by Director Richardson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. Okay, next we have the review and approve the board action calendar for 24-25. Any discussion or comments on that?
Chair, I'll move to approve the proposed board calendar for 24-25 as presented.
Motion by Director Richardson, seconded by Director Nelson. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. Okay, we don't have any student representatives for reports tonight, so we'll move on to staff reports. Do we have anyone from D21, Education Association, or Northwest Education Support? Okay, we'll move on to appoint school board members to standing committees. Does anyone want to give up their committees they have or stay the same?
Chair, I am on the Wellness Committee and the LPC, and I'll stay on those committees. Wellness Committee will reform, I think, once that's reestablished, but I'm happy to continue to serve in those committees.
Okay. Thank you, Director Nelson.
Chair, for the community outreach team that I had been serving, I've got a work conflict that prevents me from attending the meetings. They're scheduled every Tuesday, so I will be unable to continue that.
Okay. Does anyone want to take that spot? Okay. Anyone else? All right, Director Nelson, if you'll take that spot, that'd be great. Everyone else okay with their spots? Okay. Columbia Gorge GSD Budget Committee, Director Aparicio still on until June 30th, 27. Director Nelson, June 30th, 27, and Dana Wynn-Elledge until June 30th, 26. Right, new business, the link. Do we have to reappoint since they're still on?
No, those are the new terms. To clarify, Chair, the dates are for the upcoming term, meaning
Excuse me.
myself, Director Nelson, and I think yourself and Director Wynn-Elledge have expired, meaning we either choose to continue or other people can fill those roles for the upcoming term,
Okay.
which is the 7/1 through 6/30/2027.
Yeah. Do you want to stay on?
I'm fine remaining unless
Okay.
someone really wants to.
Okay, yeah, they'll stay the same, Cindy. Okay, new business, the link public transportation, transit presentation. Sarah Cook.
Hello? Hi. Hi, my name is Sarah Crook. I work for Mid-Columbia Economic Development District in the Transportation Department for the link. My coworker, Jesus Mendoza, who is the transportation manager, was supposed to be with me tonight, but had a family obligation. So I am on my own, and what I am here today to talk about is outreach for our high school students and services that we offer from them, and hopefully some guidance from you on how we can move forward on some of the programs that we have. So I am the travel trainer for Hood River and Wasco counties. So I essentially teach our community members how to ride our public transit, and that is all our community members, including high school students. So currently, next slide, right now, the high school student program, transit program we have in place is any high school student with a valid high school ID can ride link services for free. And that includes the fixed transit that here in town, and then that includes the link service that goes to Hood River. But currently, that's just link services. We'd like to expand that come the school year by providing the Gorge Pass, which expands their ability to get out into the community. Next slide. So right now, as I mentioned, their high school pass can get them on our 3 fixed routes. You can see up in the corner, the Monday through Friday route. On Saturday, we have a fixed route. And then 7 days a week, we have the fixed route that goes to Hood River. Next slide. By implementing our program and providing Gorge passes, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Gorge Transit Pass. It is our fixed route bus pass for our public transit system regionally in the Gorge, and that is a map of our regional public transit system in the Gorge. So we'd be providing passes for students to access Hood River, White Salmon, Goldendale, all with one pass, and make it easier to visit friends. And if you notice, the next slide is a map of suggestions for kids and youth to go out and about. There's the skate park in Bingen, there's the library over in White Salmon, there's the bike trails over in Mosier. So by providing the kids a pass, they have the ability to get out in the community more and meet with friends and family. So travel training. As I said, I'm a travel trainer. I work with our community to teach them public transit. And that means a variety of things. It could be as simple as trip planning. You call me up and say, Sarah, I need to get to Portland. I don't understand. I'm in Goldendale. How do I make these transfers? We talk about it, you understand it, and hopefully you can ride successfully. It can be something I just did recently where I worked with the Circle of Care volunteers, Age Plus, and we did a field trip with the volunteers, and we went to lunch in Cascade Locks, and from that field trip, several of those volunteers were going to take their clients out and get them out into the community doing field trips. And then one-on-one, I have folks come to me and say, hey, I want to understand the system, I'm nervous, help me out, and I ride along with them. I've also worked with a couple community members who need a little bit more assistance, that they've got some challenges, and we come up with a lesson plan on how to ride successful. And then one of my favorite is our mobility device orientation, where you have a mobility device, you want to ride public transit. It can be intimidating the first time, right? Everyone's watching you, you're not really sure. So we can invite you into the transit agency, bring out a bus, bring out the driver. You have an opportunity to use your mobility device in private, get confidence, so when you go out in the community, you have that ability to ride independently. So we have a travel trainer. I focus on Hood River and Wasco counties in Oregon. Eve is our travel trainer over in Klickitat and Skamania counties in the Washington side, providing the same support there. She's done a few field trips with Stevenson and Goldendale high schools, getting their kids familiar with public transit. Next slide. We're hoping by reaching out, providing the Gorge Pass, doing more outreach into the school, we can enhance the students' educational experience, give them access to areas that they previously don't have the opportunity. My favorite is independent in responsibility. You have to look at a schedule. You got to be there 5 minutes before the bus, otherwise you miss the bus. I'm a child of the 80s. I grew up on public transit on a latchkey kid, so for me, it's a second nature. It's easy to teach. It just takes time and some repetitive skills, navigation skills, learning to get from one side of the Dalles to the other, getting from the Dalles to Hood River. Once you're in Hood River, how do you get down to the waterfront? You know, what bus do you take? And then you also take away that ability saying, I can't get to school. There's no bus. I missed the bus. We have a great city route. You just have to walk to the bus stop. You might be late, but you can still get to school. So, oh, and then also with the expansion of our fixed route going till 7 p.m., we can also support after-school activities. So if they aren't able to carpool or miss whatever fixed activities bus, our fixed route does go until 7 p.m. So, next slide. So in my goal to reach out to youth and get into schools, I did come up with a basic classroom curriculum. The purpose is to teach kids about our gorge transit system, and then identifying, you know, the educational goals, the bus safety, trip planning, identifying who is our public transit providers, and all of this is very basic, but it can be dialed into whatever age level. You know, for elementary school, we might focus more on bus safety. Middle school, we'll focus a little bit more on schedule reading, kind of find the bus, play some games. And in high school, we're talking more about bus safety, navigating, you know, crossing county lines. How do you do that? How do you show up for work on time, maybe? You know, those little things. Next. So this is where I come to you for guidance. I've tried to reach out to teachers and student groups. They're all busy. Once school starts, we all know that everyone hits the ground running, and I just am unsure who to speak to. And I was hoping you guys had some guidance on that. We would like to mirror the Gorge Pass program for the high school, similar to how they have it in Hood River. How they have it in Hood River right now is students go to the high school office and they say, I want to pass. And the high school attendant, Janet, she's pretty fun, she says, here's your pass. It's that simple. But that person that they come to should also be knowledgeable of the system, so they can answer questions, just the basic questions. And anything more complicated, that's what I'm there for. They need to, you know, go to Washington for a specific appointment and they need help. I'm that resource, I'm that backup. So looking for a dedicated person in the office or a staff member. Also would like to get into the schools and do a staff presentation. So staffs, we call them train the trainers, similar to that field trip I took with Circle of Care. Just here's our system, here's how to use it, be familiar with it so you can pass on the knowledge so they can be a transportation resource. And then be a part of open houses, any back to school nights, for the high schools, we have passes on hand. I really would love to be there with have the parent there if possible when we pass, give the pass out. That way say, yes, they do have access to Portland because it is our regional, and you just need to check with your parents first before you get on the bus. Just to explain to the parent that they don't have to necessarily be a chauffeur also. So free those chauffeur bonds, I like to say. So, and then I think that is the last slide, so there we go. Any questions?
So let's say you want to go to Portland. What do you have to have more than one pass? In other words, do you have like your subscriptions for rates for adults, or how does that work?
So the Gorge Transit Pass, the regional pass, there is an adult pass for everyone 18 and older. That's $40. And I'm sorry I didn't mention this before. The Gorge Pass is good for 1 year, unlimited writing on the system. So for this school pass system, we would deliver the passes to the high school, all pre-punched with expiring at the end of September, with the thought that come next September, we're going to deliver more passes. So it's a school year, this specific school pass. But you go tomorrow to buy a pass, it'll be punched at the end of July. So there's not really a subscription. This is just like, I kind of say baby TriMet. We're just buses, but it's a fixed route. You show up at the bus stop with your bus pass, and you show the driver, and you're good to go.
And then, like, if you, from the Dalles, you go to Hood River, do you
To get to Portland?
Yes.
Yeah, so,
And you make a transfer there?
yeah, so right now, as of end of April, there was a major schedule change, and you can now get from the Dalles to Portland in under 2 hours. That first bus leaving at 6:55 in the morning, making it to CAT for that 7:30 bus, the Columbia Gorge Express, to get you to the Gateway Transit Center in East Portland.
Okay.
Yeah, and that actually happens several times a day to get to Portland. On the return trip, to make the transfer, there's only a couple of times.
And then on that same bus, does that also go to Multnomah Falls? Because that's cool, since you don't need a permit to park there and you can spend the day there.
Yes, matter of fact, I was just talking to the Sunshine Mill, and because there's a new downtown pass program I was talking to her about. And I said, yeah, you can go to Multnomah Falls and enjoy the mimosas and brunch, and then take the bus back.
Okay.
So,
That's
yeah.
cool. All right.
Sarah, thank you so much. This is an exciting opportunity for our high school students.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is, I'm going to connect you with Cindy, and then we can set up a meeting with our Safe Routes to School coordinator, our communications director, to help us with getting the word out, and then they can be a liaison for you between our two high schools, Innovations Academy and the Dalles High School.
Excellent.
Okay.
That's great. Thank
Yep.
you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Any other questions? I do just want to interject, I didn't have a public comment, but yes, starting this week, we do have a program for the downtown Dalles employees. We have anyone who's an employee in the downtown Dalles area receives a free bus pass. And I have information on the link, and if you're interested in that, we can connect you, so.
Great, thank you.
And then I'll just leave these available, but they're just schedules and maps and stuff if you're interested.
Okay, next up, we have Superintendent's Report. Dr. Carolyn Bernal.
Thank you. First up, we have the English Learners in Oregon Annual Report for 22-23. ORS 327.016 directs the Oregon Department of Education to prepare an annual report on English learner program funding and student outcomes. The report's intention is to describe the population of English learners in Oregon and provide a summary of district and state progress towards meeting their needs and objectives. We are required, all school districts are required to share the current report with the school board and make it available at the school district's main office, as well as on the school district's website by September 1st. And there's no action required. This is just for your information, and we do this on an annual basis. Sorry, I was just waiting to see if there were any questions on this item. No?
Just, I mean, this is all state level stuff, or will we at some point have just kind of how we stack against the state numbers? And-
Yes, you will.
Okay. Yeah, I think that, I mean, information is super helpful just to see at a glance the state, but I always find more relevancy for our own kiddos and just, where are we at in respect to the state numbers, right? So,
Yes.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
you will. Next, I'd like to invite our Director of Communications, Stephanie Bowen, up to talk about our annual report from the 23-24 school year.
Thank you. So this report is just a small insight into some of our accomplishments over this past year. Throughout the 23-24 academic year, we have remained dedicated to providing enriching opportunities and fostering an environment where all learners can thrive. We want to first extend our heartfelt gratitude to our staff, students, families, and community members for their support and commitment through our collective efforts. We have achieved so much, and together, we will continue to make a difference in the lives of our students and our community. This document was shared with our staff and our families at the end of this school year and is also posted under the About Us section of our website. So if you haven't had a chance to review this document yet, I encourage you all to take a few moments to do so. So a little bit about our board. As you guys all know, last year our board chose to appoint 2 student representatives to bridge the gap between our students and the school board. The 2 served as crucial liaisons advocating for student interests, voicing concerns, and fostering effective communication between the student body and our board. I just want to take a moment to recognize and thank Yamari and Caleb for their service to the board and to their peers this past year, and wishing them all the best luck in their future endeavors. This year, we're going to welcome 2 new student representatives, Nancy Diaz-Sanchez and Kylie Rose, both from the Dallas High School, who will be joining us in August. I won't touch on this slide too much because you guys all know the important role that school boards play, but just sharing this information with our parents and our families. But I do want to take a moment to thank you and recognize the efforts that each and every one of you guys put into being a part of making a difference in our schools. Speaking of making a difference in our schools, we also shared some opportunities for our families to get involved. So volunteering at schools offers our parents and community members the opportunity to make a meaningful impact on students' lives. By individuals giving time and skills, they support teachers, enhance student learning experiences, and help create a vibrant and supportive school community. We have a number of ongoing committees and ways to get involved throughout our school district, such as the ones listed above, our school site councils, our district equity committee, our facilities advisory work group, and our parent-teacher organizations at our schools. If you're interested in any of the above opportunities, I encourage you guys to reach out. I'm sure your help would be more than appreciated. Next is our portrait of a graduate. This was implemented during our strategic planning work. This is the framework of the attitudes and skills our students should possess upon graduation. It's a reflection of the mindsets and competencies our youth possess to navigate life beyond high school, including their career pursuits, furthering education, personal development, and their commitment to their communities. Just a reminder of our mission, vision, and our values, as well as our strategic plan. We are currently entering our 3rd year of our district strategic plan, which is also available to review on our website in its entirety. Some numbers for you. So this year, at the end of the school year, we had approximately 2,623 students enrolled, 416 staff members. We also had 7 CTE programs of study. This is actually up 1 from last year in 2023 because we added a health pathway. So just as a reminder, our others are automotive, computer science, construction, culinary arts, graphic arts, and welding. We also added 1 additional dual language classroom, and we'll continue to grow this program out at Chenoweth Elementary as our classes move up through our schools. This year, we'll be adding a 4th grade classroom. Our Innovations Academy and Innovations Virtual also saw tremendous growth this year, collectively adding over 50 students. This is just a little bit more demographic data of our student body. I'll let you guys take a moment to read that. But I just want to highlight that we had 33 students graduating this year with honors, 6 graduating with a 4.0 GPA, and we had 94 scholarships awarded to graduating seniors totaling over $350,000. Next, we took a moment to talk a little bit about financials and budgeting. For those who don't know, our school districts are audited each year, and those audits are available on our business department website, as well as all of our budget information. We also talked a little bit about what goes into finances and budgeting on the state school level, being that the three main sources of income are taxes, income taxes, lottery receipts, and marijuana taxation, which make up the state school fund. And then in addition, from the corporate activities tax is distributed in forms of grants to school districts for specific purposes, and we'll talk about that in just one more moment. So as far as grants are concerned, we have some exciting news. We did receive $630,000 this year from ODE in the form of a summer learning grant. These funds were made possible by the recent passage of HB 4082, legislation that was signed into law in mid-March. This gave us a very quick turnaround. We were very thankful for the funds, but it was a tight squeeze to get everything planned in that amount of time. But we were able to put together a successful program, and I just want to give a shout out to the hard team that worked on putting that together and our amazing community partners, because it was a great year. We had over 250 students provided opportunities in literacy, math, and STEAM in K through 8, and high school summer SOAR as well. In addition, they had access to community resources with partnerships with the Dallas Art Center, OSU STEM Hub, Wasco County 4-H, and the Dallas Parks and Rec. I also want to give another shout out to our summer school administrators, Katie Garrett and Jim Taylor, and the rest of the summer school programming crew, because today was the last day of our summer programming for the year. So hooray. Next, the Early Literacy Success Initiative, what the district also applied for and was granted $408,000. This was actually over a 2-year period, which provided our teachers and staff with funds to participate in several key trainings. And then last but not least, we are excited to announce, so we had another round of seismic retrofitting grant money, this time to address projects at Chenoweth Elementary. Our construction is slated to begin in May 2025. The main focus will be on reinforcing crucial areas such as the roof from the cafeteria to the gym, which will involve strapping and blocking in the roof decking, as well as connections at the concrete panels. This is made possible through a utilization of grant money from the Seismic Rehab Grant Program from the state of Oregon. This is similar to what went on at the Dallas High School several years ago. Attendance. This is going to be something that our district focuses in a lot this next year. And if you take a look at the data, you can see there's a very strong correlation between good attendance and success in school. ODE, for context, considers students regular attenders if they attend more than 90% of the school days in the year. Students who also regularly miss school are more likely to struggle. Missed days can add up quickly, as all parents know. Just 2 days a month can put a child's success in jeopardy because students fall behind and disconnect. By 3rd grade, it gets much more difficult to catch up. As you can tell by our numbers, that we're at 58% regular D21 attenders. We still have some work to do, although we are up 2% from 2021-2022. The statewide average is 62%. For context, prior to COVID in 2018-19 school year, the regular attendance rate was at 80.7% in the state of Oregon and 77% for D21. So this year we're going to be launching an Everyday Matters campaign and doing a lot of attendance heavy work. The intensive program, I know you guys have heard a lot about this recently, so I won't go into too much about this. Again, this collaboration provides us with some additional grant and aid dollars for specific initiatives as identified by the student success team. So far, these initiatives that have been approved through this program are the Director of Prevention and Intervention, participation supporting funding for the student success teams, a special education audit, 3 elementary culture and climate TOSAs, short-term principal funding, an intensive program point person, which this one is actually a stipulation of the funding, and then last but not least, a community engagement assessment, which you'll hear about a little bit later tonight. Teaching and learning. So for those of you who don't know, hopefully everybody at the table here does, that Oregon schools are obligated to adopt new material to use in our classrooms, AKA curriculum, every 7 years. This is a cycle that we run through with each content area. This year, we were able to adopt new curriculums for math, our dual language immersion program, and English language proficiency. Last year, we adopted English language art curriculum, and our curriculum leadership team has been working hard on the first steps of the implementation of this curriculum. This has been a huge lift for our district, as we have actually been off track for a variety of reasons, so it's really nice to be back on track with this. As you can see by the next slide, we have a long list of outstanding field of student athletes this year who racked up an impressive list of accolades. I won't go through each one, but please again check out this report and give them each the credit they deserve. I know they all worked hard. I do want to recognize the 5 incredible D21 coaches that were honored as Tri-Valley Conference Coach of the Year. In girls soccer, we had Colby Ton. In cross country, Jill Pearson. Volleyball, Teresa Morris. Baseball, Pat Clark. And softball, Lindy McNabb. Last but not least, we did have 10 student athletes who signed to continue their education and athletic careers at post-secondary institutions. The next slide is again more accolades and an outstanding list of accomplishments of our Riverhawks teams this last year. Facilities. So of note, we are currently renewing our district facilities assessment and long-range facilities plan. The intent of these documents is to measure the level of deferred maintenance, estimated repair cost of replacement, and functionality of a building, as well as whether its equipment is suitable and appropriate for its intended uses. We anticipate wrapping this process up early this fall, so we'll have a little bit more information with you and hope to do a few events to share this information with the public as well. A couple of project highlights. Playground fencing was installed at Dry Hollow and Chenoweth Elementary School to help better secure our play spaces, and this project was made possible thanks to materials donated from Sodexo. Our crews also worked to install a French drain system and 4 10-foot wells on Amaton Field over this last spring to drain standing water that has been accumulating due to the natural spring on the site. This system is now pumping out between 30 and 60 gallons of water every minute. Colonel Wright is celebrating its 100th birthday in September. We do have a crew putting together some fun events and recognition in honor of its birthday, so stay tuned for this fall for some celebratory birthday events. As far as district properties, last year we sold the Heritage Loop property. Funds from this sale went into the TDHS Vocational Education Fund. As noted, the district conducted a market value analysis in 2023 on several properties, including the previously surplus portion of the district-owned acreage on Columbia Heights. Funds from that sale of this property would be added to the Capital Improvement Fund to supplement projects in schools across the district. We're currently in the formal process of dividing this property with the county so that it can be listed for sale. Our transportation team crushed it this year with over 143,000 home-to-school miles driven. That's 67 hours driven each day. 65,000 plus miles were also added for athletic events and field trips, and the average rider on each bus is about 42. The average amount of riders, I should say, not age. Okay, a couple more fun grant highlights. We are excited to announce that we were granted a second round of Safe Routes to School funding through ODOT. I know that you guys recently heard from Lizette. This initiative aims to make school communities safer by combining engineering tools and engagement with education about safety and activities to encourage students to walk to school. This year we had all 3 elementary schools participate with a total of 82 walkers. If you're interested in reviewing that plan, it is also available on the district website. We also had After School Academy. This program mixes academic enrichment, physical movement enrichment, STEM activities, and life skills enrichment. This year, our program served 63 elementary and 37 high school students. I promise I'm getting to the end, guys. Nutrition. So our nutrition team served this year and added 30,954 meals, bringing in the total meal count for the year of just under 400,000. That's pretty incredible. On that note, we have recently requalified for participation in the community eligibility provision through the year 2028, which means all our students will continue to receive free breakfast and lunch. This summer, our food team has continued to be busy, and they've been able to support our migrant summer program, Sunshine Preschool, Summer Rise, Summer Soar, TDMS and TDHS public meals, Jumpstart Kindergarten, Native American Culture Camp, and last but not least, the D21 mobile meals, which have been traveling throughout the area. Okay, and last but not least, just a shout out to our community partners. I want to take a moment to recognize the incredible work that all of these folks do up here, who each play a crucial role in our schools, and we deeply appreciate their commitment and positive impact that they make on all of our lives. And that's it. Any questions? I'll hang out for the next one, just in case there's questions for that.
Okay. Thank you, Director Bowen. That was great work. Thanks for summarizing our past year for us. I really appreciate it, because I know a lot of work goes into that, so much appreciated. So next, we are requesting approval from the board for the contract with PCG in the amount of $27,993 to be paid for from the Intensive Program Grant and Aid Funding. And this would be to conduct a comprehensive assessment of our family community engagement practices. This assessment would look at welcoming practices. How are we welcoming families as learning partners? Communication systems, how effective are our current practices and are they two-way? Information systems, how are our systems aligned to link families to learning? And for the last one is parent empowerment. How are we creating opportunities for parents, families, and caregivers to collaborate with us and lead? The assessments would take place at each of our 7 schools and involve surveys, walkthroughs, analysis of communication tools, and communication with various people. From this, we will receive a comprehensive report with which we can work with our community to co-design a multi-level plan to engage different aspects of the community using a range of tools and a professional development plan to support us in effectively implementing the plan. This recommendation went through the entire process and was approved by the stewarding body. So the plan, it's already approved. The reason for asking for board approval tonight is the amount exceeds the threshold of $25,000.
Any comments, or I'll accept a motion?
Chair, I'll comment and then I'll also move. I serve on the stewarding body and can just testify to the amount of time and work and effort that we put into looking at these proposals from the community. And I think this is an important one. While it might not be as shiny and flashy as like a new program, it's really important to dig deep and understand why we're making the recommendations we are, and to understand that they're well-founded and rooted in the community needs. So I support this initiative, and I'll go ahead and move to approve the services contract with PCG for $27,993, utilizing the Intensive Program Grant and Aid funding as approved by the Student Success Team in 2024.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Director Richardson, seconded by Director Aparicio. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you. The last item up, and I'll invite our District Athletic Director, Billy Brost, up to join me, is to approve the updates to our athletic handbook. And I also want to thank Directors Winelage and Director Jones for working collaboratively alongside us. As we went through the process of updating and editing the athletic handbook, there were many things that we needed to update, and there were some things we needed to take out of the handbook that didn't need to be in there. Most importantly of significance is the updated language that includes that this handbook covers our students who participate in co-curriculars year-round. So it does cover our summer month programming. We have several students who participate in camps, conditioning, trainings during the summer months, and we wanted to ensure that the terms of this agreement, that when our students sign on and our parents agree, that they understand that this agreement covers them year-round. So we're just asking that the board approve the updated handbook. Mr. Brost is chomping at the bit to get it pushed out and get people notified. It's also Mr. Brost's intent to have family orientations coming up in August, where he will be going over this handbook with them at that time.
Is that also planned? I mean, so the family aspect is one point, right, to go over the kind of new handbook, but I mean, will there be a component as well for coaches and whatnot?
Could you clarify?
Training for coaches on the handbook, or making sure that they're up to speed on the new handbook as it now will stand?
Yeah, prior to the welcome back night, we're going to have a mandatory coaches training where we will go through line and verse on everything.
I'll move to approve the updated athletic handbook.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion by Director Nelson, seconded by Director Aparicio. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you to Director Wynne-Elledge, Chairman Jones, Superintendent Bernal for their collaborative efforts with me. With the original version of this that came out a couple of years ago was long-winded and very fluffy, and we cut a lot of fat out and just got to the point where it was easier for families and students to understand it and easier for us to interpret it when things came up. So I just want to say thank you. I want to thank each of you for your contributions to both Riverhawks and Wildcats athletics this past school year, because every one of you stepped up for me when I needed you. So thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next up we have the Chief Financial Officer's report. Randy Anderson.
Sorry about that. It work? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first thing is subsequent to the supplemental budget hearing that you had, I'll remind the board that this was necessitated, that these positions were not included in the budget that was initially proposed. And then there was funding secured through the intensive program to add these positions. But the amount of change between proposed and adopted was so great, it was exceeded the limit, so necessitated a supplemental budget. And I elected to put it off until July rather than push them together in the June adoption of the budget. So this will, Stephanie just outlined 3 culture and climate TOSAs and 2 assistant principals that were approved by the committee. So I need a adoption of this resolution, please.
I'll move to approve and adopt resolution 242502, resolution adopting a supplemental budget and making appropriations within the student investment account fund.
I got a question first. Randy, I just want to clarify in the resolution, that first line, you have additional revenues that were not anticipated, correct? So this is.
Correct.
This is being covered. We're not dipping into our general fund, anything that we've talked about with all of our other budget meetings over the last couple months.
Exactly. It was, as was outlined earlier, you know, help me with the name of the team that reviews the things. I've forgotten.
The student success team?
Yes. So these are new dollars coming from those efforts.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll second then.
Okay, motion by Director Nelson, seconded by Director Vaught. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you. And my next portion of the agenda is the financial statement presentation. And I just want to preface that with notifying the board that as we wind up the school year, I will be presenting for probably the next 3 months, June financial statements, again, as we extinguish the encumbrances and recognize the accounts receivable and payable. There's not much to report in the new school year until school starts, and these financial statements will continue to get very close to what the audit report will look like. So, and I'll keep you apprised of that in August and September. And I would draw your attention, I think you may have noticed there are deficit fund balances in the grant programs, federal and state. Most of those have been collected, but as of June 30th, we had expended funds that we hadn't been reimbursed for yet. We'll continue to do that. We've claimed most of what's available. We'll claim some more in August, but the modified accrual basis of accounting allows us to recognize 60 days of revenue past year end that's related to paying expenses in the prior year. So that one, as well as property taxes collected in July and August and September, will continue to change the fund balances. But so these statements will evolve as I mentioned earlier, and will more closely approximate what the final audit report looks like. The second page is the revenues or expenditure pages, and there's really no change there. The print was getting so small, we have enough funds that I couldn't hardly read the other thing that I usually produce to you, so I put it side by side. Information is the same. There will be some changes to that as well as we recognize some accounts payable that were due as of June 30th and the accounts receivable. So again, it will be a much clearer picture when we meet in August than it is right after June 30th. So that's all I have to offer, Mr. Chairman, and clearly I'll take some questions, so I'm obviously not there, and I did have some information from the, from the facilities department on their recent activities, but it's on my desk, so I don't remember what it was, so I can't tell you, but everyone's been busy. So I think that concludes my report, unless there's some questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions? All right, thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Shannon Brennan, Director of TLA. Oh, excuse me. First, we have the Board Attorney's report.
I don't have anything for the board tonight.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll go to Shannon Brennan.
Hello, nice to see all of you. You may recall that earlier this year, I was here to ask for your approval on out-of-state travel to a literacy conference in Colorado for members of the Early Literacy Initiative Success Team. And in your packets, you have their reflections from that conference based on their experience. You also had them earlier this year, so if it looks like something you've already seen, that's intentionally a repeat. Just so you could remember or recall some of the things that they had to say about that experience. This expense is already written into the Early Literacy Success Initiative grant that's been approved by ODE, and because it is out of state, I am here to ask for your approval to travel to that conference again. There are a couple things that I want to highlight about that grant, just off the top of my head. In the beginning of our first cohort, after we were awarded the grant money, we partnered with Eastern Oregon University, and 9 staff members have gone through the EOU teacher training for the science of reading. And we have our cohort 2 going right now, and 22 teachers opted to participate in that over the summer. And we will have a cohort 3 start in September. And of those people who have dedicated lots of time and energy to that new learning, the current plan is to then invite them to express their interest in attending this conference. So I'm not asking for this to be approved so that the same people can attend the conference again, where I'm planning to open it up to any teacher who has completed the training, the EOU teacher training in the science of reading. And then I'll create some sort of rubric that we would use if we had more people express an interest in attending than funding available.
Any questions?
Just a couple questions. I understand that this is grant funded, but obviously certainly we're kind of in a time right now where like fiscal responsibility is kind of at the forefront of all of our minds. So I just want to just kind of parse out a little bit. I mean, is this, in your mind, is this the best conference to be taking a team to? Or are there any other options that are perhaps closer, kind of reducing some travel costs, or online training, somebody that could come here? Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
Absolutely. Yeah, and in truth, sending a team to Eugene for a COSA conference is about the same cost when we consider the mileage and all of those travel costs. They're not all that different. So also, there aren't any options in Oregon for this type of expansive learning, from early literacy to family engagement with literacy, to just improving teacher skills. I haven't found it yet. And none of the people that attended the conference in February of this year know of anything. I would love to stay local. There isn't an option. Also, we have worked with consultants in a variety of ways, and consultants are so expensive. And actually, it attests to why we have taken the approach with EL Achieve and Constructing Meaning to grow our own trainers within the district. So last year, our Title III allocation from the state or from the federal government is about $50,000. And in the 22-23 school year, all of that money, almost all of it, was allocated towards the partnership with EL Achieve to bring them in to train us. And now, this school year, we are going to be able to train more of our teachers because we're not paying them to come in. We are paying our teachers who have become facilitators to deliver the training for us, which allows us to have more money to allocate towards paying teachers to participate in the training. So it's not really an option to bring in, even 5 different presenters on different topics where you can go to a conference and see, you pick your whole day, you pick the agenda, and it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring that in here.
Absolutely. We certainly want the most highly qualified educators we can for our kids. I just wanted to make sure that you'd kind of done your homework around the most responsible way to get to where we want to be. So it sounds like you have.
Yeah, and in fact, I don't know if any of you were able to join us on February 16th for our in-service day, but we did bring in Dr. Rhonda Fritz. She's from Eastern Oregon University, and she leads the reading clinic there. She led a couple sessions for K-5 teachers and then also expanded it to K-8. And if we could hire her to come here and just repeatedly engage with us in that type of learning, that would be remarkable. But she's also a university professor who heads the reading clinic, and we are still partnering with her and with EOU, just not to that extent.
Thank you, Shannon.
Yeah, thank you.
So let me just clarify, this is to pay for you to go there, right? To the conference, or is it?
This would cover a team of educators. If you look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we had 9 educators go this past February, so I'd be looking at about 9 or 10 educators attend the conference.
And so all of you come back and train teachers. Yeah, I get that. Okay, I get that. That sounds very worthwhile to me. Yep.
Okay, I have a question. So how are you going to take the 9 teachers that went last year and the 9 possibly this year? What kind of goal are you looking at when you get all 18 together and you're working with all the other teachers? What's your expectation through this next coming school year?
Initially, one of the things that we were looking to do was have the participants in the first cohort then become trainers for future cohorts. And because of scheduling in the summertime, it's been a little challenging to pull in more teachers into that work. But there are, Marnay Sprouse and Katie Garrett are leading the cohort this summer. And we'll soon be determining who will be leading the cohort 3, possibly even having teachers at each site lead cohorts at their sites, so that then teachers don't have to travel after school or whatnot. It just depends on who's willing to lead. One of the things that I know from my own professional learning is that to learn new skills and concepts, it takes a long time to feel confident enough to then lead others. And so I think of it like we'll use like pull back the layers of the onion, but really like we're building the layers to things of like building up people's confidence and building up their knowledge and their skills to then be able to more confidently lead PLCs at their site, more confidently support colleagues that are like, what is with this foundations? Why are we doing this foundation? Like, just even those site-based conversations, it is building confidence, building skills, and just a knowledge base to be able to make that shift away from perhaps what we've been doing that's not resulting in the achievement that we want and what our kids need. So that's one layer to it. We will come together and debrief it. What did we learn? What are we looking for next steps? The Early Literacy Success Initiative is becoming part of integrated guidance, and so it will inform how we write the next round of the money, the allocated money for us, like how we intend to spend it when we come together and think about, okay, how have these different opportunities impacted us? Where are we at? And we know where we want to be, where we are, fully versed in the science of reading. We are teaching kids explicitly in phonics instruction. But there will definitely be an opportunity afterwards to come together and use those experiences to inform how we move forward.
Any other questions? Anyone want to make a motion?
Chair, I'll move to approve the request for out-of-state travel to attend the CCIRA conference in February of 2025.
Second.
A motion by Director Richardson, seconded by Director Nelson. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, next we have first reading on board policies, and there's a bunch. So tonight's section on first reading of policies includes revisions to the following existing policies. Policy BFC, adoption and revision of policies. Policy DJC, bidding requirements. Policy EBCD, emergency drills. Policy GBEB, communicable disease in schools. Policy IFCA, site councils. Policy JES, compulsory attendance. Those all include revisions. The section also includes the recommendation to delete the following existing policies. Policy DJCA, personal service contracts. Policy EBCA, emergency procedures and disaster plans. Policy EBBA, first aid. Policy GBEBA, staff, HIV/AIDS, and HBV. Policy JHC, student health services and requirements. Policy JHCC, communicable diseases. Policy JHCCA, students, HIV, HBV, or AIDS. So those are all recommendation to delete. The section also includes the addition of new policies. Policy EBBA, student health services. Policy EBCA, safety threats. Policy EBC, emergency plan and first aid. Policy JHCA, JHCB, immunization and school sports participation. There will be no action taken this evening on these policies as they are first reading only. In the next month and prior to the next regular scheduled board meeting, if board members could read each policy, and if there are any questions, direct them to the appropriate staff to answer. These policies will come back for the second reading and action at the next regular scheduled board meeting. So we'll move on to...
Chair Jones?
Yes.
I just have one thing to point out on policy BFC. That's the first one in the packet of first readings. There just was an error on number 3. The blue text, the last line of the blue text, it should, instead of student, it should say study.
Okay.
So just an FYI, it should read, except as the board determines that the revisions need further study, not further student. So just FYI for everybody as you're reading the policies over the course of the next month.
All right, thank you. Okay, next we have second readings and adoptions with, so policy BCBA, student representatives on board. The practice of installing student representatives on local school boards is increased, and therefore a desire for more policy and administrative regulation options have been voiced. Oregon does not mandate a student representative, so these recommended policy revisions are optional. Any questions or comments on that? I'll accept a motion.
Chair, I'll move to approve policy BCBA, student representatives on the board.
Motion by Director Richardson, seconded by Director Nelson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. Next we have policy CBG, evaluation of superintendent. Required policy OAR 581-022-2405 requires districts to adopt and implement personnel policies which address evaluation procedures. Any comments on that?
I'll move to adopt policy CBG, evaluation of superintendent as presented.
Second.
Great. Motion by Director Aparicio, seconded by Director Richardson. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. Okay, next we have policy CCG, evaluation of administrators. Required policy OAR 581-022-2405 requires districts to adopt and implement personnel policies which address evaluation procedures. As a reminder, the district should review employment contracts before adopting to ensure there is no conflicting language. Many of the legal requirements in this policy apply only to those who meet the definition of administrator in ORS 342.815. Any comments on that?
So I think I had some. I have to find the language. Yeah, where is that? Oh, yeah. So in number 2, the evaluation shall be conducted according to the following guidelines. Number 2, evaluations will be made by the superintendent and/or a qualified licensed designee. So I'm actually in favor of only the superintendent making that evaluation of the principals. And so I have some questions about giving authority to a licensed designee for just the principals. I can see that for assistant or vice principal, that seems appropriate. But for principals, I think it should just be the superintendent. So I guess I question that line. And also the whole idea of what is qualified you know, is that qualified something like a lot of training? If it was a designee, that they go through a training program to do that, they have a background of doing that. So those are the kind of questions I have in my mind. And I don't know if we want to discuss that a little bit to make me feel more comfortable with this, or what?
Well, my response would be, the current practice is I evaluate principals
Okay.
directly. They all have an evaluation with me annually. Secondly, a qualified licensed designee is defined in our OARs and also defined by TSPC.
Okay, that's where I wanted to know, where is it defined somewhere?
Yes.
Okay, so you could refer to what that means?
Yes.
And like a ORAR?
And TSPC also defines what a qualified licensed administrator is.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot more comfortable.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions, or I'll accept a motion?
I'll move to accept policy CCG, evaluation of administrators as presented.
Right. Motion by Director Aparicio, seconded by Director Lopez. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. Next, we have policy EBBB, injury or illness reports. OSBA recently reviewed this policy and made additional changes to more closely match OSHA rules and guidance language. Any comments on that one?
Chair, I'll move to adopt policy EBBB, injury or illness reports.
Second.
Motion by Director Aparicio, seconded by Director Richardson. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. All right, next we have policy JGAB, use of restraint or seclusion. The procedures for responding to an incident of restraint or seclusion are found in ORS 339.294 and were amended by SB 1024. These amended procedures are represented in the recommended changes to this policy and AR. The changes are a result of the adopted language from the bill related to the revised OARs recently adopted by the state board. Any comments on that, or I'll accept a motion?
I'll move to adopt policy JGAB, use of restraint or seclusion.
Motion by Director Nelson, seconded by Director Lopez. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Any abstain? Ayes have it, motion passes. Okay, next we move on to information only. Policy DJC-AR, exemptions from competitive bidding and special procurements. This proposed administrative regulation has been updated and continues to provide guidance for procurements which are exempt from competitive bidding and are special procurements or special procurements. Then we have policy DGCA-AR, personal services contract. This is to delete. This is to be deleted. OSBA recommends deleting this policy and replacing it with the new proposed version of DJC and DJC-AR. Policy EBBA-AR, first aid infection control, will be deleted based on passage of HB 3584. Several policies were identified and resulted in revisions and updates, which include recording and or reassigning content to a different policy or policy section. Policy GBEB-AR, communicable disease in schools. Based on the revision of OAR 581-022-2220 on health services, several policies and ARs have been revised and may include deleting or rescinding, recording, and or reassigning same policy content to a new section or policy. Policy IFCA-AR, school site councils. Policy JHCC-AR, communicable diseases in student, be deleted based on the revision to OAR 581-022-2220 on health services. Several policies and ARs have been revised and may include deleting or rescinding, recording, and or reassigning some policy content to a new section or policy. That was the last one, right? Okay, that moves us to public comments. A person speaking during the designated portion of the agenda for public comments may offer objective criticism of district operations and programs. The board will not hear complaints regarding any individual district staff member. The board chair will direct the visitor to the procedure and policy, board policy KL, complaints for consideration of a legitimate complaint involving a staff member. Accommodation involving a staff member should be sent to the superintendent, who will forward it to the employee, supervisor, and the board. The board requests that public comment add information or a perspective that has not already been mentioned previously, and that the patron refrains from repeating a similar point. The board will accept public comments for the July 25th meeting. The board is committed to the public comment process and will consider all public comments seriously. Public comments for virtual meetings will continue to follow school board policy BDDH, public participation in board meetings. To sign up for speaking at the meeting, you can sign up. The sign-up sheets are available at the door, and you'll have up to 3 minutes for each person to speak. To submit written comments, email to public comments at northwasco.k12.or.us. Deadline to receive written comments is the Wednesday before the board meeting by 4 p.m. You can also sign up to speak via Zoom. You can email public comments at northwasco.k12.or.us to receive a Zoom webinar link and add it to the speaker list. Comments will follow district policy, up to 3 minutes allotted per person, and due on the Wednesday before the meeting by 4 o'clock.